Like I was thinking, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not going to pass this exam. And it was very like demoralizing. But I realized everybody's journey is different. I know it took me 3.5 years. Yes, it's longer than most people do, but I've learned so much, like,
Hmm.
how to set up the boundaries, how to tell people no, how to manage stress, how to, put your personal stuff in the box till you sit for exam and revisit after the exam. So all those small things that I've learned within this journey is like transparent to my life. And I was like, you know what? I would never even know all this if I didn't struggle through all this
Hmm.
process.
Welcome to another episode of the CPA Exam Experience podcast from SuperfastCPA. I'm Logan, and in today's episode, you're going to hear me talking with Margaryta. Now, Margaryta is an immigrant. She immigrated from the Ukraine in 2011 or somewhere around there, so she's been in the United States for quite a while, but English is her second language, and you can imagine that probably made things a little bit difficult, especially when it came to audit, but she has an awesome story. She started studying for the CPA exam, and she really struggled at first. She was scoring in the 50s each time she took the exam, and then when she found SuperfastCPA, she eventually did start passing exams. And it wasn't perfect. She still failed some exams, but there was a big improvement and she was a lot closer each time and, of course, starting to pass exams. And in this episode, you'll hear how she was able to change that, what things she did in her process to be able to do that, and how she was able to achieve passing the CPA exam. She has a lot of great tips, so make sure that you watch the whole video or listen to the whole podcast episode because, again, she has a lot of great things to say, especially about motivation and staying motivated and things like that. So make sure you stay for the whole thing. Now, one thing I will say before we start the interview is make sure to check out the free 1-hour webinar training on superfastcpa.com if you haven't already done that. Again, in that 1 hour, for free, we will teach you the key ingredients to passing the CPA exam so you don't waste months or even years of your time failing exams. So make sure you check out the webinar. And another thing that you should check out after you watch the webinar is becoming a Superfast CPA Pro member. Pro members get access to a lot of great stuff, including the Pro course where Nate explains in detail everything that you're supposed to be doing to pass the exams. And also we have Superfast CPA multiple choice question walkthrough videos where I walk through just about every topic in FAR, Audit, a lot of them in Reg and TCP, and I'm currently working on BAR. Again, these are videos where I walk through multiple choice questions on a topic in the blueprint and show you how to learn from it and show you the answer to those questions so that you can be learning that material. So make sure you check out becoming a pro member as well. Now, with all that said, let's dive straight into the interview with Margaryta. So, where were you when you were starting your, like, how did you get into accounting before you even got
Um,
into CPA?
yeah, so I'm actually immigrant in US. I came from Ukraine,
Okay.
like 2011, and I had an unfinished degree back home. So I decided to start studying here because the degree from logistic didn't convert here. So I
Okay.
started taking just community college classes to get an associate degree. And the professor that I had for accounting, which was mandatory, was great. I like
Mm-hmm.
math and physics.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he was breaking down the concept, I was like, this is so easy. I can do this profession. And he kind of like motivated me to like start looking and digging deeper. So I took his classes, graduate community college, and then I went to bachelor and I did accounting, and
Okay.
then I did master in finance and accounting. And then
Okay.
while I was going through this journey, I was working at the same time, and people were like, "Oh, are you gonna sit for your CPA?" And of course, every manager I had, and like a CFO, they all had CPAs.
Mm-hmm.
So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I need to do that too. So
Yeah.
I thought there was a logic path to do it.
That makes total sense. So you immigrated from Ukraine 2011, started picking up school again, got into accounting that way. And about what point did you start going for the CPA exam? Like at what point did you start doing that?
I think I finished my master 2021. I took
Okay.
summer off, and I'm like, okay, September, I'm starting fresh. I already got the Becker review. I started September, and then October, I think I hit the wall. So I was like, okay, let's look up alternative option. I found super
Right.
fast on a podcast
Okay.
because I actually was listening to different podcasts in that time. So I found multiple podcasts, but that one I just liked the most. So I did buy the material, and I was kind of fighting off the method. I was like, okay, that's what they say, but I'm still gonna do Becker method.
Right. Right.
If I kept so September into like February, and February I was like, you know what, I have to just sit for the exam to just to see how it
Hmm.
looks. So either I fail or pass, I'm just gonna see it. And I failed miserably. I think I got like 54. And
Right.
whoever lied to me with Becker bump, and if you put all the green check marks, it was awful.
Hmm.
I
So
like remember sitting an exam and thinking, oh, about a retake already.
like you already felt I'm gonna fail this, like even just
Yeah.
being in the exam. Uh, what? So you got super fast CPA. Were you using any of it, or were you just kind of using? What were you doing to study that time when you failed? Like what were you doing at that point?
I think I did still watch the lectures, and I did all the material. I did the all MCQs, all the sims, all the practice exam,
Hmm.
everything. I do remember eventually printing out the notes in a binder and make to the book, but
Hmm.
I still, for some reason, I didn't use them. I used more Becker book, and which
Hmm.
is very heavy
Yes.
to carry
Yep.
around. And I think
Hmm.
that was the only book that I actually redeemed with Becker. I've
Hmm.
never redeemed any more books since. After that, I was like, this is a waste of paper.
Yeah, I felt the same way. When I started, I when I got into doing the CPA, I knew about Superfast CPA right from the start, but I didn't buy it right away, and so I was kind of doing this mix between Becker and throwing in a few things from Superfast CPA, but
Hmm.
it wasn't really working. And I had the textbook as well for audit, and I carried it around, and I was highlighting it and doing all that, and it just felt like a total waste of time. Which sounds like you felt the same way. Uh, so, uh, so you take that exam, and which one was it again? Was that FAR that you were
Far,
doing?
yeah.
And so you're doing FAR, and was that the point where you started wanting to use the Superfast CPA material? Like, what changed after that?
Yeah, I've tried to do both. And I think what I didn't realize, like, I didn't have strong background. So I had to literally relearn the whole FAR
Mm-hmm.
over again. And I sure have took my time, and like at home I was scoring like 50s or 60s, and I thought if I go on exam I just miraculously score 75, which is like I don't know why I was thinking that way.
Right.
So I did pretty much exactly the same thing again. It took in again in July, and maybe got like, instead of 54 I maybe got 59.
Okay. All right.
It was awful.
And how much were you studying? Like, what did that look like?
So it was like not consistent enough because before I took in February, took February 14, and the same day I was driving home, I was buying boxes in Walmart because I was moving.
Oh,
So I was
yeah.
moving, and while I was waiting for my scores, and after the score released, and I found out I failed, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start again. And it was just
Hmm.
like everything was just falling not in the right place because the war started, and my family
Hmm.
asked for more
Hmm.
attention. I just had to do a whole bunch of other stuff that I wasn't anticipating doing in the beginning.
Right.
So I think that by summertime, when I failed a second time, I'm like, okay, I need some coach. I need to find something like some motivation groups or Facebook groups or somebody like hold me accountable for it.
Hmm.
And I learned that I don't work well in groups. I'd rather be alone.
Yeah. And especially with the CPA exam, the reality is it's all your skills at the end of the day. So I think groups can be a little bit helpful for people for motivation, maybe. But other than that, like it really comes down to you. So did you try getting into like a group or something like that? And then you
Yeah,
didn't
I've
like
came
it?
across this Facebook group. Yeah, and we did like sessions in the evening together to break down some questions. But I
Hmm.
feel like I was too far ahead of them, so this was not helpful for me. They were like pulling me
Mm.
back.
Oh,
And
I see.
I came across this lady. She had like a accountability coach, so I started using her as like like you meet once a week just to have like your brain dump. You have your ideas,
Right.
and she can organize them and like hear you out, and then you have come up with a plan, and then you revisit every 2 weeks, so like see how it works. So nobody literally coach me, or not coach me, but not teach me how to do the MCQs.
Hmm.
I was doing them myself.
Right.
And then myself, the way I was breaking down the concept, it was more beneficial to me because I understood better and I can move forward. And then I tried a flashcard with Quizlet. I failed miserably.
Hmm.
I will go to my phone for Quizlet and then wind up on Instagram or weather or traffic or Google
Hmm.
Map or anything about
Anything. Hmm.
anything.
Yep.
I really went back to like paper ones. I bought like a stack of paper and I started writing, and I would like do bonds and the breakdown in the bottom. And if I see multiple choice that adds to that flashcard, I will add to it, and like I will write in the back or on the side. I will like continue like based on the subject, and
Hmm.
that would help me like to finally incorporate the knowledge. And I finally, I don't know, maybe I finally listen enough of podcasts. I start doing the read reviews.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was really slow at these read reviews. People were like saying 30 multiple choice. It took me like an hour just to do the 30 multiple choice. By the
Hmm.
time I review them, it's like the session is over. So I started
Yeah.
doing like 15, 17, and one sim, or then I increase by 20. If the speed start going faster, I start increasing to 20 and then 30. So I build the strength in the speed.
So if I could kind of go back just a little bit, because I want to dive into what you were just talking about, but I want to kind of contrast this. So what would you say was your big struggle before you started changing things that you were just mentioning? Like, what was it that just was not working that caused you
I
to fail the exams?
I think what it is, like I would just throw in, I didn't have clear path plan for work for me. I would just throw in everything, like in the morning, in the
Hmm.
lunch, at evenings, and I didn't have benchmark how much I want to accomplish every day or every week. By not having benchmark, I feel like I was not doing enough. And
Mm-hmm.
when I'm doing enough, I'm just keep going, throwing more and more stuff on myself and get burned out, and then
Mm-hmm.
feel like a failure because I already failed twice.
Right. So just really unstructured. Like, I don't
Yes.
think I'm doing this right, so I'm just going to keep doing more and more of it. But it wasn't, it was just kind of
Yes.
hectic. Is that right?
Yes, until I got literally a dollar store planner with a calendar, and I start writing like the week one will be module one, and then
Mm-hmm.
I want to do 60 multiple choice and read this many page of super fast notes and this many quizzes on my phone. And when I had this benchmark, if I hit it, okay, I feel good about myself. So I know I
Right.
did what I was supposed to. If I do more, great. If not, I just can do a little more in it tomorrow.
Okay. I really like what you were saying there. And I definitely want to dive into that. So it seems like the biggest struggle was like consistency and knowing what to do. So now after you failed twice, you start diving into the multiple choice questions. You got this, I guess, accountability coach. You started doing the flashcards and you did this daily planner. So yeah, kind of just explain how your process changed. What did it change to for like, what did your day to day look like?
So yeah, I started studying. Before I used to study before work and then get stuck in traffic. So I would just start coming to work early, and I could only come an hour early. So I would do like 7 to 8 there, then lunch break, and then after get off work, I may listen on my way back the notes,
Hmm.
audio notes, and then come home and just do the house chores. So that
Hmm.
will be the routine. And then on the weekends, I would do the Sims and like whatever I didn't uh, finish during Monday through Friday. And I
Okay.
would do that every week.
Okay. And so so that's what it changed to. So roughly an hour in the mornings, and then kind of
And
studying.
now, yeah,
Did you say you did like an hour at lunch, or is
yeah.
that oh, okay, okay, I see. Um and you mentioned earlier that you started really focusing on the multiple choice questions. So what changed there? Like what how did your focus change with the multiple choice questions?
So at first, English is my second language. So
Right.
when I read every single word, try to understand the whole thing, what they ask, and that takes too long. So
Mhm.
I think I remember maybe some interviews or somebody on a chat group, the chat said that you should start from reading the bottom line. What
Right.
was the question? And then I looked through the answers first to get an idea and then read from the top. And that cut my time significantly. And
Right.
I wouldn't waste so much time to understand what the question about. And then for far, like it take calculations. So I would like do a scratch paper on a notebook so I can make the calculations.
Mhm.
So that's how I deconstruct them. And
Right.
then memorize the concept, not like people write the whole question on the flashcard. Because Becker flashcard was wasteful. I just put them in a trash can. I was like, this is not worth it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why I was like able to like, okay, this is the concept they asked this way, but it's still the same concept.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like, at first with multiple choice questions, you were trying, I mean, and I totally, I don't understand personally, but it totally makes sense that it would be really difficult to like try to read through the multiple choice question, and like there's probably some words in there or nuances that you're like, I'm not sure if I understand what that means. So jumping to the bottom is that is definitely a strategy we constantly are mentioning. In the, I don't know if you ever watched these, but in the multiple choice question walkthrough videos that I've been creating for Superfast CPA, I always mention that, even for
Hmm.
questions that are, it might not seem like you really need to do that. It's such a good habit to be in, to read the last sentence first, because it gives you that context for what's even happening. And it's not 100% helpful. Like it's not every single time it helps, but a lot of the time it really helps you know, oh, I need to be looking for this as I read through this. And so it sounds like that really helped you kind of start picking up the pace and improving your understanding a lot. Is that right?
Yeah, especially when the last question said like which is not correct or which is
Mm-hmm.
correct.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, they would get me every single time. So I was like, make sure I read this line first, then go from the beginning.
And then it also sounded like you started really kind of deconstructing the calculations on paper. Did you ever use an Excel sheet, or was it mainly like scratch paper?
I had like a notebook, and I
Okay.
think by the time I finished with FAR, I wrote two notebooks,
Okay.
like by hand.
Uh-huh.
I would do calculator on the computer because that will be the one on the
Yeah.
test center. So I FAR would like, I don't know, maybe I'm just old school. I like to do by hand writing real quick.
Yeah.
And I didn't use Excel because I feel like by the time I type this formula, it will take forever.
And is that how you did it on exam day as well? Like, did you use the scratch
Yeah.
paper at the exam as well? Okay.
Yeah, I used the scratch paper. I did not use the hand calculator they gave you. I've never used that one.
Yeah. Yeah. There's two things I definitely don't recommend using, and it's the calculator in the exam. I usually don't recommend using that because a lot of times you have to like click it instead of being able to type it. Um,
Mm.
and then but so it sounds like using the scratch paper really worked for you. And I do think there is something to be said about physical notes. We frequently recommend using Excel just because a lot of people are pretty quick at using it, and you'll have access to an Excel sheet on exam day. But whatever you figure out that works for you to like be able to work through problems, that's the important thing, is to be able to work through the problems. And it sounds like you found what worked for
Hmm.
you. So you had these kind of changes, and what happened after that? So you had failed FAR twice. So what happened after you kind of started changing your approach?
So after I changed the approach, I sat maybe like November, and by December I got my score and I got 74.
No. Oh man, so much closer, but
I
not quite
remember,
there.
yeah, the day the score was released, I was like, oh, what would happen if I would get 74? And I was like, why would you say that? Like, you
You
cannot say
jinxed
that.
yourself.
Yeah, I was like, you cannot say that. Now, moving forward, I was like, wrote the sticky note, like manifesting. I wrote the sticky note. Passing was not 75. I would just do 89, a little higher, because if I do 75 and get 74, I will get disappointed again.
Yes, yeah. So you got a 74, but I mean that's a huge jump from like 55 and 59 or whatever those were. So did you feel like even though you got the 74, you felt a lot more confident, like, oh, this is starting to work?
Yes, I was like, okay, I started working. I'm close to the passing. And I think I got the score like December 19 or 18. So like a week or two before Christmas. I was like, there's
Hmm.
no point for me to sit right now to exam.
Hmm.
I started a new job. And I was like,
Uh,
let me just do January, like mid-January. I paid for the exam. I started studying. I went in and I set for the January. And by February, I found out I passed far.
awesome.
Yeah, I
What
passed
do you
like
know what the score was?
I think it's a 77 or 79.
Okay, but you
I
passed.
did
That's the
post, yeah,
important
I
thing.
post on a forum.
Oh,
That's
in the
why I
forum.
remember.
Okay. All right. Right. And I do remember seeing some of your posts in the forum over time. Uh, so you passed far after
Hmm.
the fourth try, but I mean, it really seems like once you really started implementing the super fast CPA methods, there was a huge jump in your in your retention and understanding. And so how did things go after that, after you passed FAR?
So I was through the moon. I was like, this is
Yes.
finally, I passed far, and I heard that was the hardest. I was like, everything gonna be smooth and like smooth sailing from that through that point. Well, I was wrong. I
Yeah.
started studying for audit, and audit was something that I'd never seen before. I never worked in audit. I only took like one class in my
Hmm.
grad school. So this was like a foreign language I had to learn. And I was like, this is insane. But no calculation, just a bunch of words,
Hmm.
and they just only different by one letter off, like one word different answer.
Hmm.
And I was like, I study, and I thought it was making sense. Like, okay, it's logical, it's easy. I set for exam, I got 73. I was like, oh
Oh,
man.
man, it's so close.
Yes, I was like, maybe what I thought is clicking is not really working, so I need to do it a little harder. And
Hmm.
I sat again and I got 65. I was like,
Oh,
oh my
whoa.
God. Yeah, and then I learned in that mentally, like when I got 65, I would just like stress about personal stuff. So when I was in the exam, I caught myself thinking about my
Mm-hmm.
issues and not focus on the exam. So I was trying to reel myself back into the questions, and I was like, this is not working.
Mm-hmm.
So I audit was a
Yeah.
struggle too.
Yeah, being like, I mean, it's always stressful being in the exam, but I remember for my first exam, which was audit, I remember being so stressed that, like, because I was stressed, I like noticed all the sounds around me. Like, I heard everybody typing and everybody clicking, and my headphones were hurting, and it was so hard to focus on the exam. And maybe that's a little bit different than like what you were saying, but I remember that feeling of just feeling like it was so hard to actually think in the exam. uh, so you got a 65 that time, probably partially because you were stressed about some other things. So did you like take a step back, or what did you do after that?
Yeah, I restudy, scheduled for next month, and other things happened. I was stressed out, and
Mm-hmm.
I should have just canceled exam and move it further, but
Uh-huh.
I went anyway, and I got another 73. So like, okay, finally I got myself under the control. I was like, okay, you can't really stress about things out of your control. I finally grouped myself together, and I went back, and I think I passed with like 79 audit. So
Awesome.
that was
Awesome.
two passing scores in the same year, 2023. In December, I found out that I passed audit.
That's
And I
awesome.
was like, because it's like if I keep getting stuck on audit, like there's no way I'm gonna get to the end. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I was so happy that audit is over, and it was like, and I moved on to reg, and I was like, at least reg has calculation, and I don't have to learn this language, and it will be not a lot of words. It will be the
Mm-hmm.
most numbers, and I was like, I'm okay with numbers. And reg was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I did not rush like I did in prior exam because, people say like, oh, you should take 8 weeks or you should take you this long. And then I was like, until I score like 85 at home, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going anywhere.
Okay.
So I took my time to do the reg, and I went sit for reg, and I passed on first try.
I bet that felt amazing to pass an exam first try.
Yes,
That's awesome.
I was so excited because I was like, never pass anything on first try.
And you were was that in 2024? So did you have to
Yeah.
wait for the what did you have to wait a long time to get that score back?
Yeah. So I said by June, and the score release was end of July. So I knew I was trying to sit like as close to the deadline as
Yeah.
possible. So if like deadline is Thursday, I'm sitting on Wednesday,
Hmm.
and I will wait the shortest amount of time. And
Okay.
I choose not to move on to next section till I get this passing score. So I waited till July to confirm the reg is over, and I
Right.
already had like an idea that reg overlap with TCP.
Hmm.
So I'm go ahead, and since reg was pretty good. I manifest out pass with 89, and I think I passed with like 70, like 79 or something like that. So really, really high.
That's great.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, we're just gonna go with TCP.
Hmm.
And it was shorter. The book was shorter than
Yeah.
other classes. I was like, oh, this should be easy, right? Uh, um, I don't think it was easy ride because I didn't think about my busy season starting in August. So I August did not really go as I want to, and I look up the next window was like October to
Right. Yeah.
sit.
The discipline. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm just gonna sit in October. I picked the last day that I can sit like 28 to 29, so I can get the score in December. And I sat on it, and I passed on the first try too. I got
That's
81,
awesome.
the
So
highest score.
in October, you've took your last exam, and that was in 2024, right? Just this
Hmm.
past year.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you went from, really struggling with FAR and then struggling with audit a little bit too, but your process had improved a lot by the time you got to audit, and then reg and TCP you passed first try. Uh, that's I had heard that TCP was like the highest passed
Hmm.
discipline. And I mean, for me, I think TCP has the easiest material of them because I worked in tax, so that one made sense to me. What is it you work in again?
I actually do like more financials. And
Okay.
before I work in like AP, AR, but
Mhm.
never tax, never audit.
Okay.
I've never worked with tax, but I was like, I was surprised how easy the tax, more applicable or like,
Mhm.
easy to digest to me.
Right.
And I was like, since the reg worked, I'm gonna just stick to TCP and just go with it.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea. I honestly think that whatever exam you are most comfortable with, you probably can do the discipline that relates to it. Except bar. I mean, bar, in my opinion, is the hardest exam. I think it's even harder than FAR, so I don't typically recommend people do bar. But if people are really comfortable with FAR, they can do bar. If they're really comfortable with audit, maybe they can do ISC. And then you did really well with reg, so you're like, hey, I'll do TCP, and it worked out really well. Um, so, what would you say was like the biggest benefit that you saw from switching over to SuperfastCPA? CPA? Because we talked about the questions and we talked a little bit about the flashcards. What other things were like a big benefit to you as you were trying to go through these exams?
I did the when I first started FAR in audit, I did print the books and I
Hmm.
read them. And they back then they were like not that long. They was like
Yeah.
under
Yes,
200
we did make them
pages.
bigger. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I print them, and while I was like going through questions, I would write on top like extra stuff that I would found on the questions and I want to add to this book, and I would read them over and over. And then I would read them with the voice too, and then you guys come
Right.
up
The
with
follow.
voiceover.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I notice I get distracted. I read 3 pages and my mind drift
Hmm.
away somewhere. So I would do that, and I would do on my lunch break and just sit in the car and read through those things because I need to have like a quiet
Hmm.
environment. In the office, people talk, and
Yeah.
I just get distracted.
Hmm.
And so I use mini quizzes too. I was on my phone, like in any lines or any places. I'm doing my quizzes on a metro, on a bus, everywhere. I'm waiting for the bus or metro. I'm doing quizzes over and over again. So I did. I think like for TCP, I think I memorized all the Becker questions. At the end of the point, I was scoring like 90s because I know all the questions.
Wow.
I did so many of them. I find for far, I think I did 274 testlets, like, the
Wow.
sections in
Yeah, like
Becker.
your like review quizzes or
Yeah,
something, right?
yeah.
Okay.
As the Superfast notes got bigger, I
Hmm.
think for TCP. The reg, I think I still read them, but for TCP, I think I just print. Somebody in the forum said that Becker final review is really helpful, and
Hmm.
I download them and print them out instead of reading them.
Right.
And they only have like 4 chapter for TCP, so like a chapter a day. And I would make them very small, so there will be like 6 5 pages, and I will write on top of them. So I will
Okay.
use them a lot. I will carry them everywhere I go. I will carry them with me. Um,
So you did that with the Becker notes, but then you also did that with the Superfast CPA notes, and that sounds very similar to what I did. So just to make sure I'm understanding, so you'd print out the notes, and then you'd pretty much have your own notes there as well. Is that right?
yeah, so like if a
Okay.
question elaborate on some specific topic which notes didn't have, I will add that line to it.
Yep. Yep. That's exactly what I did. I was taking the exam before I started working for Superfast CPA, and when I started working for it, we decided to make them more extensive. But yeah, I did the same thing. I printed them out, and if there was something that was missing from the notes that I was seeing in questions, then I would add that to wherever I was studying. Or if there was something I was really struggling with, of course I would make flashcards, but I also would put my notes in those notes. So pretty much the Superfast CPA notes and my notes were all in one spot. So it kind of sounds like you did a very similar thing.
Yeah. And if I didn't know where the section is, I would go to Open PDF, Control F, and just search
Right.
by
Yep.
that specific lease or bond or something that I
Yep.
need. I was like, oh, let me find this specific section and then
Perfect.
find and write the page.
And you earlier, you kind of, I mentioned just flashcards just barely. So earlier you were talking about physical flashcards. So when did you typically make your flashcards?
I was doing towards the end when
Okay.
yeah, I started doing the read reviews and I noticed like the same question come up over and over and over again. And I keep, failing a question or
Mm-hmm.
keep not understanding. So I would like write down the background. Sometimes I would do like a chart or graph, or like if you
Mm-hmm.
go from here to there, or divide in half, like flashcard. This is from LLC, this is for partnership, how they're comparable to each other. So you can
Okay.
have this picture in your head while you're studying, and then some surprisingly when I'm going exam, this picture came up in my head, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this, and I just write it. So
Perfect.
like I have visual memory, and I learned better hands-on, not just listen to lectures and then I don't
Right.
remember anything. And then the lecture wasn't helpful because the questions were not really on it. It's like a
Mm-hmm.
left field. You study this and questions on the other side.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
felt the same. I felt the same about the review, the lectures as well in Becker. I used Becker and I thought it was great for the questions, but yeah, the lectures just I felt like I would watch them and then I would get to the questions and I feel like I was learning from scratch either way. And but with the flashcards, I like what you said there, like kind of like diagramming things out. I did the same thing as well, and I had the same thing happen as well, where when I would be at the exam, I would remember, okay, in this situation, it goes down to this, and like I could like map it out in my head. So I think there's definitely something to be said for that, like mapping it out in your own way to make it make sense for yourself.
It helped me. And then I didn't have like 100 flashcards for like maybe for
Yeah,
FAR I have like 30, 40, but for audit maybe I have like 10, 15. So it was like not as much, but they're
right.
very detailed and concise what I do need to know.
So it was less about bulk flashcards and more just really condensed down to the things that you knew you struggled with. Okay. And you mentioned the mini quizzes and the follow along notes. Did you also use the audio note?
Yes, I did them in a car, but in DC the traffic is crazy. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you can, if it's like bumper to bumper and you're not really driving anywhere, yeah, it's great. But then if you like crazy drive, like people drive crazy here and you have to focus, then you zone out. And then you're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I have to rewind it because I don't
Yeah.
remember what it was just said. So it was good in the mornings. In the evening, it will be sometimes I get too tired to listen to them. So I'd maybe listen halfway and then switch to something else. And
Right.
I definitely watch the podcast, like or listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
Like that was like every Thursday I'm waiting till they release the new one so
Nice.
I
Yeah.
can listen to it.
Yeah.
And it will be like, a break from the audio notes.
Yep. And I think that's definitely a good recommendation. I did the same thing. Just like, sorry, I'm just comparing, but you did a lot of the same things that I did. And yeah, to have a break from the audio notes, but still be doing something with the CPA, I listened to the podcast a lot as well. So, and was there anything from the podcast that kind of like that you kind of gleaned some ideas that you took some ideas from the podcast that you started using, if you can remember?
Yeah, I don't remember. I think I wrote down everything. Like every time
Hmm.
people would say what they did, I was like, oh, I'm gonna do that. Like
Right.
somebody say they bike or hike with audio
Yep.
notes. I was like, oh, I can do a walks with it. That I was like, okay, I'm gonna start walking outside on a lunch break and maybe listen to audio notes instead of sitting in the car and read. So like small things,
Right.
but like I would go get my oil change and sit with the book and listen to audio notes
Awesome.
because I was like, it's an hour just waiting doing nothing.
Hmm.
And then I
Yeah.
was like, might as well just do get something productive. Oh, and I don't know if anybody said that, but I use this app to track the timer, like time on your each task you do. So like
Oh,
this one was like a study. I'll create a study, and then when I press the button study, the timer starts. So that's mean I cannot touch my phone or respond to any text message or calls, and I have to only study, not just being on Instagram or something.
oh. So can you explain that again? So it was an app. Was on your phone, and
Mhm.
it basically did it lock down your phone so that you
No, it
couldn't
didn't
use
lock
it, or
down,
oh, okay, okay,
but when the screen is closed, it will just show the timer like it's going. So like
okay. So
you're
it'd be
like,
a
okay,
reminder. Hmm.
Yeah, so you have 45 minutes and like, or however long you want to do it. So you only study for that amount of time. And it kind of like, you kind of mentally put pause on everything else.
Right. Oh,
And
I
then
like
if
that
something
idea.
happened, yeah, you stop the tracker. So then you do
Okay.
that and come back and restart the tracker.
And did you use that for like everything that you did, or was it mainly for like your main session studying?
Just the studying, like not
Okay.
many
Okay.
quizzes, but
Yeah.
like while I'm
Yeah.
doing the multiple choice
Hmm.
or read over the notes. So like I want to make sure those 2 hours that I claimed that I study, I actually did
That you
study and
actually
not
did study. Okay.
pretend I was studying.
Hmm. Yeah. That I definitely had that happen a few times. Uh, but that's a really good idea, by the way. I like that kind of, and putting it on your phone instead of maybe on your computer, because our phones do tend to be the thing that distracts us from things that we need to do. Um, was that like,
Or
did
another
was yeah,
iPhone
yeah,
has the feature like do not disturb.
yeah,
And then I created instead of doing the show, I created one more study for CPA. So when I put that mode on, the phone like go black and
right,
nobody can call you. Or if they call you, it will not ring, and then you will not see the text message till you unlock the mode. So you just like people see that you study and they will like not keep blowing off your phone.
yeah, yeah. I think because sometimes it'll like, at least with other iPhones, it'll say like they have their phone set on do not disturb or something like that. So that probably helped a lot if you needed to focus. I like what you're saying though. Again, like putting it on your phone instead of maybe on the computer, because that makes it so that the thing that is the distraction is also the reminder I need to be
Hmm.
studying. So that's a really
Hmm.
good idea. I like that.
It worked for me, and then
Mhm.
I was able to like in the month you're like, oh my god, I did 40 hours or like 60 hours, 84 hours. I was like, and you kind of can track how much any extra hours you did study for that
Mhm.
particular section if you care. But it
Yeah.
was just like an idea. It just like a when a horse has barriers, like just like that. So
Yeah.
like you have a
Yes.
barriers, so you only focus on this and nothing else.
Yeah, it helps you have kind of more tunnel vision for what you're supposed to be doing. What was the name of that? Do you remember the name of the app?
Yeah, I can
Just
look it
so
up.
other people can maybe
It was
implement that
free.
idea if
It's
they want.
called
Yeah,
A is an Apple tracker. So
a tracker.
yeah, so it was
Okay.
free, and you can create a task you want. The name any task. I have just study, gym, housework, but I only use for studying.
Right. That
And
I
then
really like that.
I thought I found it useful, especially it was
Yeah.
free. The
Yes.
coach I had, she suggested some different app. It was with the subscription, and this one it was free, so
Hmm.
I used
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah. I never like for me subscriptions. I would way rather either have something totally free or have something that I pay once and I own it forever. That's me personally, anyway. But that's a I like that a tracker. We'll definitely have to, maybe we'll have to start recommending that alongside like Brainscape, which is what we recommend for flashcards. I like
Hmm.
that. Uh, and then kind of coming back to some of like your study methods, we haven't talked about this very much yet. So you already mentioned this a little bit, but I want to talk about it more, is the weekends. How are the weekends different than the weekdays?
Yeah, I study in the weekends more. But
Hmm.
okay, my beginning, I would be just like, I study for like 4 hours. In the reality, I would study for hour and a half, maybe two, and then my brain will shut down.
Hmm.
And then I will force myself to sit and study, but nothing will go in. And it was a waste of time. And that I would do that every weekend. And then I realized, okay, you not making any progress. Maybe you should get up early before everybody wake up. Maybe like if it's Saturday, I would start like 7 or 8 and study till like 12 or 11, and then take a break for like breakfast, lunch, whatever, and then study for like a couple more hours after. So then
Okay.
you split up the section, you have a break so you can do some house stuff or work out or walk and have reset, and then your brain is more fresher to do one more set or one more round. So that was more helpful. And I realized like I don't know how people study for 8 hours straight. I
Yeah.
just couldn't do it. I was
Hmm.
like, and even if I force myself to sit, it's nothing really going in here. And I was like, this is just, it's just look good on the paper that you study for 8 hours, but what is the really quantity or how much you could have done? Like, what
Yeah.
is the productivity of this? Is not that high.
Yeah. That's definitely like, in the general recommendation from Superfast CPA, on the weekends we recommend like 4 or 6 hours, and then we have that 48-hour cram where you do like 8 hours a day for the 2 days before. And that's the idea, because the hope is that you're just going to study as much as you possibly can. And some people are definitely able to do it, but I was the same way. Like I just physically could not focus for that long. I was diagnosed with ADHD like a few years ago, and I was like, well, that makes sense. So I
Mm-hmm.
just couldn't. I like literally could not sit there for 4 hours straight and study for myself personally. So I had to adapt. And it sounds like you found something that worked. Because Superfast CPA is kind of the general framework, because it works pretty darn well for the most part. But especially once you started seeing results, you were able to kind of switch it up a little bit. So you would break up your study sessions all throughout the weekends. Is that right?
Yeah. Or like I wouldn't do like before I used to do the full exam just to like practice to sit at the desk for this
Mm-hmm.
long or
Mm-hmm.
like be able to focus for this long. But then I realized no, it's more productive just doing 30 questions and four sims. And if you do
Mm-hmm.
twice every day, that's mean full exam every day.
Mm-hmm.
So you build the strength and like
Right.
resist like that you can sit through the whole time. And then it doesn't really you don't need to sit for 4 hours straight.
Yeah. And did you find that all of your practice translated pretty well to test day? Like, did you feel, once you got past some of those failed exams, did you feel fairly comfortable and confident on test day?
Yeah, so I will have like when I go, I have like my routine. When I go into the exam, I'll come early, I'll bring my food with me. I
Mm-hmm.
sit in the car like hour early, flip through my flashcards, then watch like motivation video or like I know it sounds funny, but I will watch Rocky Around the Stairs. And then
Right.
I feel
Hey,
like
that's great.
I would feel like a champion. And when I go in, I'll just go in like, okay, I already passed this exam. And I sit down, I'll write, I already passed this exam. This is just a formality. And then I start the exam. So
I
like
like that.
if I believe that I passed the exam, then I did pass the exam. If I was walking in scared or not confident or intimidated or if, not sure, I'll bomb the exam. I will be freaking out on the questions. I may not have good time management. I will second guess myself on every single question. And then I would definitely not pass the exam.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that was just how it worked for me.
Right. And I think that's true. I would say that's probably pretty true for pretty much everybody. If you don't think you're going to do well, then you're going to second guess yourself all the time. Even if you've studied it really well, you'll
Hmm.
probably pick the wrong answer because maybe that wasn't right. Um, but yeah, I mean, it sounds like you really like totally revamped your process after failing FAR a few times. And even though you failed audit a few times, I would probably attribute that more to external things and also just
Hmm.
audit being difficult when English isn't your first language. Um, so, but yeah, you like totally revamped everything and really did super well. Uh, you did. I mean, that's fantastic. You did really well. What did you do after you passed? Like, have you done anything to celebrate, or what's changed?
Yeah, I took a couple like my friend was studying for the civil engineer license. So, when she passed hers and I was like, oh, we need to celebrate. She's like, we're doing a girls trip to Mexico. So we went
Oh,
to Mexico
awesome.
uh, in April, yeah. And I bought some small gifts for myself to like, to commemorate that I passed. And
Hmm.
oh, actually, a week ago, Maryland finally sent me my license. So I framed it.
So you have your CPA license framed, right? Which is
Yeah.
it, that yellow one?
Yeah, I framed
Okay.
the with the golden frame like the boards, and it's funny because Maryland sent me a small license in March when I
Hmm.
finished my ethics and submit all the stuff, and based on the email that was it. So I didn't expect to get the bigger letter in the mail till like a week ago.
Yeah.
I was like,
That's
oh, what
awesome
a
that you got it.
surprise!
Yeah, I wish that I had gotten a surprise like that. Utah, yeah, they just sent me a PDF and that's it.
Yeah,
I just printed out and that's it.
yeah, it was a PDF, and it like it's like a
Hmm.
1/3 of the PDF.
Yep.
So I was about to frame that. I already got the frame. I got everything ready. I just didn't hang it up. And then on Saturday, I got this letter in the mail, and that was it. I was like, oh, okay. I
That's
didn't know
great.
that's going to happen. But yeah, it was nice. And work wise, I don't know. In my head, I thought like once I passed the CPA, I will be qualifying for like some sort of job opportunities
Hmm.
and career improvements or grow. And actually, I got it early. So I got a promotion in August before I finished my CPA. I was like one section away.
Wow.
And I do remember saying on the interview, like, hey, I already passed two sections and I'm on track to sit for third exam. So I was implying that I'm going to have this license.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you should consider me instead of other candidates.
Yeah.
And I,
That's
I, I
awesome.
did get the job. So I was like, perfect.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And even with just that benefit, you'll definitely see other benefits as you go through your career and everything just for having that CPA license. Uh, but with all that, I think that we've pretty much hit everything that we typically talk about. You had an awesome journey. Is there anything else that you were wanting to mention before we kind of start wrapping up?
I think the most thing is like people start comparing to each other to like ourselves to somebody who's faster or more successful or complete this journey faster or pass on the first try, and then we self-doubt ourselves. And
Hmm.
I have the same process. Like I was thinking, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not going to pass this exam. And it was very like demoralizing. But I realized everybody's journey is different. I know it took me 3.5 years. Yes, it's longer than most people do, but I've learned so much, like,
Hmm.
how to set up the boundaries, how to tell people no, how to manage stress, how to, put your personal stuff in the box till you sit for exam and revisit after the exam. So all those small things that I've learned within this journey is like transparent to my life. And I was like, you know what? I would never even know all this if I didn't struggle through all this
Hmm.
process. So
Right.
I know like I manifest and wrote like, my name, I say USCPA 2023 and I got in 2024, but I still got it.
Yeah.
And everything that I was like writing everywhere, like remind myself, it came true. Maybe it just took longer. Maybe, it was not the right time. So I'm glad it worked out that way. And all the
Yeah.
challenges that I faced, like it was just made me stronger instead of like make me weaker. And yeah, if some people pass on 3 months, don't look at them. If you take you 6 months to study, just take your time. Make sure you score higher. Make sure you feel good about it, and you can create your own journey, your own path, and stop seeing and being jealous that people go on vacation and you starting with the books on your deck every
Hmm.
summer. that was
Yeah.
I was just like, it's your choice. You picked this journey. You made
Hmm.
a commitment to it, so you have always had an option. You can just quit and go on vacation and do nothing. It's up to you. And then you start
Yeah.
being more picky about what do you spend time on. Like watching
Hmm.
TV become like less relevant. I like, okay, it's waste of time. Like
Yeah,
you
I've
catch
definitely
yourself
felt the
doing
same
some
way. Yeah.
stupid things. You're like, this is not really, it doesn't benefit you anyway. You just wasted time.
You really felt like it translated to a lot of things in your life. Is that right?
Yes, yes. Like I learned how to like, tell my family, hey, if you're not dying, this can wait after the exam.
Yeah.
Nobody, it's not a life or death situation. You can wait, because in their eyes, everything is now or right now. And it was like, no, it's not.
Hmm.
So before I would like do everything they ask, and I realized like no. And like the more you, or some friends call you and then just vent, and you're like, this is waste of my 20 minutes that I could have just do multiple choice. I should have, next time I should just not answer the phone because they just steal your time. So like you need to be mindful, like, no, this is my time. I
Hmm.
can give you time later, or
Right.
this is not the priority right now.
Yeah.
Or how you can strategize, like, the house chores, or, like you can come up with plan, like, hey, we do this once a week, or we outsource the cooking, or what is more requirements. And I was scared to ask for help. Like I used to think always like I have to do all of it by myself, like because I've done it before the exams. So I
Hmm.
thought I have to do it with the exams.
Hmm.
And then I was wondering why I'm burning out. And I was like, oh, I started working out. And that was a big mistake. It cost
Hmm.
me going back to therapy and work out with therapist, physical therapist, 3 times a week that I was doing before I started studying. So like keep in mind that like your mental health, your physical health, and your priority, which you had before exam, is important too. And you shouldn't just drop all of this. You just need to say what is not negotiable, what are you willing to like drop it, what do you want to keep it, and how you can fit your life into it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think when I was taking TCP, I have a 2 days before exam, I had a concert to attend, and I already have the tickets. So I couldn't just say I'm not going.
Right.
I just planned ahead. I did like multiple choice before the concert and ahead of time. So I hit the benchmark. I didn't feel guilty going to that concert. I still
Right.
passed the exam.
Yeah. I love what you're saying here. I really think a lot of it really comes down to like you learned a lot how to manage your time, and not just like blocking off your time, but also just what mattered for your time. And it really, I feel the same way, even after, now that I'm doing this for a living, I definitely have noticed the things that I do or that I used to do that are just a waste of time. And I frequently am telling people just delete all social media off your phone or, like, because especially when you're studying for the CPA exam, that stuff is just going to distract you from what really matters. Uh, so I love that. I love what you were saying there. Like, I, I think that's fantastic advice that anybody should apply for sure. Um, now, at the last question that we always ask, and this might go back to some of the stuff you've already said in the interview, but it's just always a nice way to have it nice and succinct. Is if you could give advice, your top 2 or 3 tips to people who are still going through the CPA exam, what would those be?
I think just keep going. Don't give up. Keep pushing, like doing the multiple choice till you score like 80, 85 at home before you go for exam, because your score going to get knocked down from your anxiety and stress level and
Mm-hmm.
all the other factors in the exam. So you probably will get hit the 75. And I found the consistency is the key. Like I'm looking at my planner, I don't look like I took any day off. I look like I wrote what I was doing every single day. And
Yeah.
yeah, make sure you strategize. What is your priority? Like if you think like working out help you mentally to like decompress and keep yourself healthy and you can sleep at night, keep it. Don't ditch it. Maybe don't work out 2 hours a day, maybe do 30 minutes a day or 3 times a week or something. And mental health is really important. I I realized like I bombed some like at least 3 exams because I was just stressed out. And I was like, if you feel like you have too much internal, like, too much going on in your household and you can't handle it, go ahead and push that exam. I pushed the exam before because, busy season came. I knew I wasn't ready. So there's no need for me to waste $250 just to
Mm-hmm.
go there.
Yeah.
Go ahead, pay the $35, push it till you less stress
Yeah.
in your work, and then sit for exam. Don't just feel like you must do it because you put on a calendar.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'd
Right.
rather get it done one time and from first try than keep paying. Actually, the fee
Yeah.
went up. When I started, it
Yeah.
was
How
like
much is it now?
200. The last exam that I paid for TCP was 355.
Yeah.
And mind you, I sat for 10 exam.
Yeah. That's like over $2,000, right? Over
Yes,
the course of
mind
it.
you,
Wow.
yeah, I was like, I learned how to let go the fear of failure and the fear you like, what if and the things you cannot control. And it's transparent to my day night life now, so I can let it go all that fear. Like it's out of
Mm-hmm.
my control. Why are you sitting and stressing about it? Like
Right.
while you're waiting for the score, why are you stressing? You have 2 options. Either you keep studying for the same exam, or you move on to the next one. Or third option, don't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all your
Yeah.
options are. There's no point to keep stressing yourself and drive
Mm-hmm.
yourself crazy. I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe it's a woman thing, because we master that. We must master overthinking, over stressing yourself, and go too far in the rabbit hole and just like going too far in every
Mm-hmm.
single details, and then you burn out.
Right. Yeah, I think those are fantastic tips. I love what you were saying there at the end. So thank you so much for being on the call today, Margarita. I mean, you had some fantastic advice and you have an awesome story. And I think that it's going to be really helpful for a lot of people. So yeah, congrats on being done and thank you for being on the call.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. All right, that was the interview with Margarita. It was an awesome interview, and I really loved being able to talk to her about the improvement that she was able to see switching from, again, scoring in the 50s to then being able to pass exams. And all it took was changing her strategies and staying motivated. Even though it wasn't perfect, Even though she didn't pass every single exam first try, she never gave up. And with the right strategies, she was able to conquer the CPA exam, even though she didn't speak English as a first language. And, that definitely would have made things more difficult. She still was able to do it. And that just goes to show that anybody can pass the CPA exams if they have the right strategies, the right mindset, and the determination to use those strategies correctly and effectively. So I am sure that you loved this interview with Margaryta. Now, before you go, make sure again to check out the 1-hour webinar on SuperfastCPA.com. That is 1 hour that will save you months and months of struggling with the CPA exam. So you make sure you check that out. And after you check that out, make sure you also look into becoming a Superfast CPA Pro member, because we have a lot of great resources for Superfast CPA Pro members, including the Pro course where we explain in depth how to study for the exam, and also our multiple choice question walkthrough videos where we walk through multiple choice questions to learn the material in the blueprint for each exam. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure you find those videos on YouTube, or again, make sure you check out becoming a Superfast CPA Pro member. Now, with all that, I hope that you liked this episode. If you did like it, make sure to like it and leave a comment in the YouTube video or leave a rating in your favorite podcast app. Thanks for listening or watching, and we will see you in the next episode.